I'm Dee from Front Office Guru, and tonight I want to talk to you about something that I've been working on with my clients over the last 2 to 3 weeks. And basically, what we've been doing is working on something that they've been really worried about, and I've been giving them some tips and tricks, and I thought it would be best to put it out there. So bear with me, this is my first Facebook posted video, YouTube video, but it's something that is near and dear to me, and I really want to pass it on to all of you. So the thing that everybody's been worried about is the thing that we're all worried about, and that's the success of our practices as we begin to navigate the effects of the coronavirus. Now, I'm no infectious disease expert, so I'm not even going to go there with you. I'm not going to talk about stats or numbers or anything like that. I am, however, a very successful practice owner, as my husband and I have built a very successful physical therapy practice over the last 17 years. And I spend most of my days now working with other practices and their staff. And I felt like it would be a good thing to share this with you, like I've been sharing with them. So tonight we're going to talk about what you can do right now to push through this crisis that we're all dealing with, this fear that we're all dealing with, so that you can help your practice thrive, even in what feels like tough times. So go ahead and get a pen and paper and take some notes. Sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee or drink a glass of wine. I promise I won't make this too long, but I feel like these are tips that have been helping some of my practices that are in some of the toughest hit areas. And I think it'll help all of us across the country as we go forward. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 5 things tonight. And those 5 things are just different areas and things that you can focus on. So the first one, and I think this is probably the most important in its own way, and that's be the voice of reason. So if you're a practice owner or manager, you need to be the voice of reason for both your staff and your patients. You have to remain calm, and you have to be able to put information out there that helps support your goal and your objective of helping people. Okay, so the first thing you can do is create a letter. And I've actually seen this quite a lot. And you've probably got a bunch of them in your email box. Maybe you've even gotten one in paper format. And so, but we want to create a letter, and we want to mail this letter to our past and current patients, as well as post it on all of social media. The intent of the letter is basically to tell your patients or potential patients what you're doing to keep them safe. And this is really important for those of us in healthcare, both the people side of healthcare and the veterinary side of healthcare, because I do have quite a few veterinary friends. We want to make sure that we're letting our patients and our clients know what we're doing to keep them safe moving forward. And so we want to basically cover 3 important points in our letter. Now, it can have a lot of pleasantries and nice things to say, but we want to make sure we cover 3 important points so that we maintain the trust of our clientele. The first thing you want to do is talk to them about what do they do if they're sick, right? Most people, when they're sick, they're going to call us the day of and they're like, oh, today's day of my appointment. I'm really sorry I can't get here. But we don't want that. We want them to call the minute they know they're sick. Number 1, so that we as a practice can prepare for that and know that, especially my physical therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic practices that are out there. We want to make sure we know ahead of time that our patients are sick. Because if we find out last minute, it's affecting our other patients, but it's also really doesn't give us time to prepare. Now, the second thing we want to make sure they understand is what our staff are doing to be safe. So we really want to lay out for them exactly what we're doing in our practices to keep everybody safe. Are we cleaning more? Are we cleaning our hands more? Are we supplying something different? What are we doing to help keep our staff safe? And what is our staff's responsibility if they were to get sick, right? So we want everybody to know that we want them to stay home when they're sick. The next thing we want to do is keep our healthy patients on the schedule. So we want to make sure that we're really reaching out to all of our patients. We want to make sure that they know that we're here for them. We also want to make sure that our front office team is really, really, really focusing on helping alleviate some of those patients' fears. Our patients are scared, and we don't want them to be scared. We don't want them to be scared away from helping themselves. So our staff need to be very, very skilled at this point on keeping their patients coming in and helping their patients. So number 2, do no harm. Now, what does that mean? Well, remember, We're all medical practitioners, and our number one responsibility is to our patient and to provide our patients with a healing environment. For my physical therapy practices, this is huge. How many of your patients tell you how much they love coming in for care? So we have to make sure that we promote that healing environment. Well, what do? Well, first of all, we don't want to panic, right? Because when we panic, things just don't go well. Our patients can feel it, our staff can feel it. So if you're a practice owner or practice manager, you want to make sure that you're keeping calm. Stay calm, relax. Everything's going to be okay. If you start to panic, your staff are going to start to panic, and they have a lot of things to panic about, just like we do. Remember the effects of stress and inflammation on somebody's body. Again, this is why we want to promote that healing environment. We want to make sure that we remember that when somebody is suffering from chronic stress, they're more prone to an infection. And when somebody is suffering from inflammation, like joint pain or overall physical pain or inflammation, our patients are more likely to be prone to infection. So if we want to do no harm, we have to make sure that we maintain a healing environment in our practice. And we make sure that we stay true to our true purpose, which is helping patients. The next thing we want to do in order to keep the stress down is keep things positive, right? There's a lot of panic out there. If you live somewhere like I do, where yesterday everybody just freaked out, cleaned the shelves of everything, schools got closed, college campuses got closed, people just went into full-on panic mode. And so we have to keep things positive in our practice so that it remains a healing environment. Now, what do we do to do that? Well, first of all, we need to have policy about no negative talk. In reality, we want the talk of the virus to stop when our patients walk in the door. So our staff need to remember that they should not be initiating conversations with each other about the virus during work hours, and they also shouldn't be initiating conversations with their patients about it. Patients get enough outside our doors that cause panic. Inside our clinic, we want to make sure that they are calm, relaxed, that they get that healing environment. So no negative talk about the virus or the effects of it on anything else out there in the world. They can stress outside. Inside the clinic, we want them to be calm. And this is the same for our veterinary practices too. We want to make sure that those pet owners relax when they come in and when I bring my dog Rosie to the vet like I did today, I want to be able to go in, have them welcome me, and just have it be a super relaxing environment while I'm there with her. Now, the other thing we have to do in order to keep this healing environment is no sick people in the clinic. So again, we have to stress to our patients how important it is that they let us know the minute they're sick and that they don't come to therapy. So we don't want them to call the day of. We want them to call the minute they're sick. That way we can help them to make good decisions, but we also have the opportunity to help somebody else get the care that they need and deserve as well. Now, remember, that doesn't mean relax your cancellation policy. That means the opposite. You need to hold your cancellation policy in place by making sure your patients understand what you need. Now, the next thing we want to do is be very obvious or outward in our cleaning of our facility. Y'all clean your facilities. No question about it. You clean all the time. But what's happened over time, just like has happened in society, is it becomes kind of this background noise or this background view for our patients. They don't necessarily see us cleaning that table or cleaning the pillowcases or washing laundry. In this time that we're going through, you need to be almost obnoxious about your cleaning so that your patients see it. Again, that's going to build trust and confidence. And as things maybe escalate in your area, it keeps them remembering that, hey, you're making every effort to not get them sick. You also want to wash your hands in front of them. Really, really wash your hands. One of the things I suggested for some of my owners lately is, another way of building trust. A patient's really worried about the virus, or maybe they're stressed out about it. Something fun you can do in your practice is create a hand washing video that shows your patients, hey, guess what? The back of your hand's the dirtiest part of your hand because you always miss it when you're washing it. So let's talk about how to really wash it. And those are things that you can do with your patients. And you can even create a video and play it in your clinic. Now, another thing you can do if you're a clinic that has TVs is make sure that there's nothing on the TV that's negative. So we don't want news stations on. We don't want the opportunity for news reports to come on because, again, that stresses out our patients. Now, here's something pretty cool. 20 some years ago, I used to laugh at my boss. At the time I worked in a rehab center and it was attached to a nursing home. And so the place could get kind of depressing for our short-term patients. And every day he had some crazy video on. One of his favorites was Riverdance because about 26 years ago is when the Irish dance craze really hit and Riverdance really hit. And he would joke with our elderly patients and tell them things like, when you're discharged, that's going to be you, as they're kicking up in the air and all this stuff. And the patients would be like, oh, I wish. And it kind of became a joke, but it created such a positive environment for our patients. So another thing to do is have positive videos, things that are educational or things that are fun to keep them moving along. Okay, so here's number 3, and this is just as important as the rest. In fact, it might even be more important, believe it or not. And this is market like crazy. Promote your clinic. Promote, 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 promote more than you have ever promoted before. Because there are people who need your help, but at the same time, there probably are some patients that are really fearful of what's going on, and they're going to drop off. So not only do we have to make up what's dropping off, but we also want to make sure that we're promoting to get more people to come in. And believe me, there are people who will come in. We just have to promote to them. The goal of your promotion is to create things that are positive and informative. So like I said earlier, make sure that letter that you write to your current and past patients about what you're doing to keep the clinic clean and to keep illness out of the clinic and to promote a healthy, nurturing environment, put that information out there to them. Really put that out to your area. Because remember, people are scared about other places, but they might not necessarily be scared of you if you put that out there. So I'm talking about things like blogs, videos, newsletter content. Use social media like crazy, okay? You're still marketing with ads and things like that. Your ads can be really positive stuff. Remember, people who are suffering from inflammation plus chronic stress, they're more likely to get an infection. And so we want to promote that. Hey, look, this is something that could happen. We want to help you handle that hip pain or that back pain so that you can actually go out and feel more confident in the world right now. You want to load the market to stay relevant. So basically what that means is you really want to make sure that your information is out there. So if you normally put out this much information, you want to put out this much information so that your patients are really, really getting it. Your future patients are getting it. People are like, wow, this group, they're still there. Now, another thing you really need to do is write letters. Right? Look, you guys have most of you have a huge past patient list. Don't wait for them to come to you. Write a letter today. Get your staff writing letter. If you have downtime in your clinic, put your staff to work. Make them write 10, 20 letters. Now, you can have a form letter with some really cool information in it and just some basic contact that's like, hey, call me if you're suffering with any pain right now. Or, hey, do you feel like you have some inflammation in a joint? Give us a call. We can get you in today. And you're sending out these letters to your patients and they're hand signed by your staff. It doesn't matter who's treated this person last. Everybody can write a letter to a different patient. It's about getting it out there and helping your patients. Another thing you can do is call your past patient list. Don't wait. Give them a call. Hey, Bill, how's it going? How's that shoulder doing? It's been about 6 months. Bill's like, hey, it's going great. Awesome. It's so good to hear that. Right? You're not necessarily promoting to them at that point, but you're reaching out. Bill's friend's gonna be like, man, I'm sitting at home, my back hurts from sitting on the couch all day long. And he's gonna be like, dude, you need to go there for some physical therapy. Or in the case of my veterinary practices, promote like crazy to your past patient list. Talk about now's the time to get your dog checked out. Now's the time to get your cat, make sure your cat's doing really well. Get that information out there. Don't be afraid. Don't retract. Promote like crazy. Okay, another thing to remember is people are home right now, right? Like, oh my gosh, so much of the population, other than us healthcare providers, but a huge portion of the population is at home right now. So by promoting to them, by calling them, by finding out how they're doing, you can actually get them in. And heck, you can fill the middle of your day schedule just as much as you can fill your nights or your mornings. So call people, reach out, give that information. Don't just rely on social media. Reach out to your past patient list. Okay, now here's another thing that's going to happen, and we talked about it earlier. Patients are going to fall off your schedule. The goal is to limit that, like severely limit that. But let's say that, you have this 75-year-old patient, her doctor, which is something that happened with some of my clients yesterday, her doctor told her to not go out of the house. She's 75 years old. He was concerned about her, and so she was staying home. Well, she fell off the schedule. Well, here's the thing. We don't want to lose her forever, and she definitely doesn't need to lose us forever. So we want to make sure that we're reaching out to those patients. We're like, hey, how you doing? Remember, some of these people live alone, and they're probably going to get really lonely. And so we want to call them and just be like, hey, Sally, how's it going today? And Sally's like, doing pretty well. And you're like, okay, so how's your shoulder doing? Or how's your hip doing? And she's like, well, it's doing all right. And you just keep that contact with her. Another one you can do is call everybody you discharged in the last 6 months. Look, that can be a successful discharge or an unsuccessful discharge. Successful discharges, sometimes they have other problems. Give them a call. Be like, hey, how's that shoulder doing? Doing really great, but my hip's bothering me. Hey, I can get you in tomorrow. And everybody in your clinic should be doing this, not just your front office staff. So your PTs should be calling their patients. How's it going? What's going on? Remember, guys, your goal is to keep them coming in. Anybody coming in who can come in, get them in. We're not talking about being unethical here. We're not talking about promoting that patients who are scared or patients who are immunocompromised should be coming in. We're talking about the people who can come in. Get them in, because there are people that need it, and we need to get them in. All right, so this is the last thing we're going to talk about today, actually, and that's something I call the honey-do list, right? I have a honey-do list for my husband. You're going to have a honey-do list for your staff, and this is really important in downtime. Okay, we've talked about all the things we can do to promote, to fill the practice, but this one's really important too. So what am I talking about there? Well, this is a list of actions that you want to get done. So you're an owner, you're a manager. What are some things you want to get done? Do you want to overhaul that training manual? Do you want to overhaul your policy letters? Do you want the clinic rooms painted? Do you want a super cleaning done? Well, if you've got staff in the office and they don't have something to do and they have finished all those blogs and videos that you need them to create so that you can promote, the next thing you can do is have them get through your honey-do list. Here's some things that I think you should look at as part of this. Number one, you should work on staff training, drilling, protocols, everything you can possibly think of. Use the downtime for that, because that will make you come out on the other side much more successful. First and foremost, remember, get them creating content. The more content your clinical staff get done, the more successful you are. I told some of my owners this week, give one PT a notice in their box that says, hey, come up with 5 blogs that you could write on the shoulder. And then the next day, give that same PT, hey, write down what you could do to turn those blogs into newsletter content. And then, hey, the next day you can say, write down the 5 things you can do to create them into Facebook videos. And then you start working on them with your staff. You can do that much faster. You don't have to do it over 3 days. Another thing you can do after that is collect on old AR. So you've got all these, and this is for everybody. We've got old accounts receivable out there. We have patients that owe us money. Give them a call. Remember, people are home right now. They're more likely to answer the phone. You give them a call. You say, hey, this is Dee. I'm calling from Anywhere Physical Therapy. And how are you doing? I'm calling for Bill. And Bill's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm doing pretty well. How are you? And he's tells me how he's doing. I've looked up in the EMR what his last problem was, and I ask him how he's doing with his shoulder, and he's like, I'm doing really well. I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome. What's going on? What's new in your life, right? So I'm building that relationship, that trust back up, and then I'm just going to very lightly broach this. Hey, Bill, we noticed on your account that you have about a $500 balance. And so I was just giving you a call today to find out how you're doing and see what you and I could do to work this out. And then you work out with Bill, maybe a payment plan where he's paying you over the next 2 to 3 months so that he feels comfortable about that in times of stress. But you're also collecting money in a downtime. And this is really successful. I have a practice out west that's doing this, and I think this would help all of you. All right, the last thing is get the clinic in order, right? Get it in ship shape. You want to move some equipment around and it's light right now? Get the team working on it. You might as well get things going the way you want them to be. Okay, so if you've listened this long, I just want to say thank you. There's some things I want you to remember before we're done. Your goal is to help people. I don't care what medical practice you're in. Your goal is to help people. And your goal is to help people get the care that they need and deserve, right? Our goal isn't to fill the schedule. Our goal is to help our patients. Unfortunately, we can't help our patients unless the schedule is full. So our goal still remains across our practice to help people. And ask your team members, how can you help more patients, even in this time of need? Remember, there are people who need help, and they're going to come out. Those that are able and willing, they're going to come out. You just have to promote to them. Don't stop promoting. Don't be fearful of promoting as you move forward. So make sure that you do the following. Tell everybody you're open in this time. Keep that communication going, that this is what we're doing. This is how we're working to keep everybody safe while we're here to help you. Keep illness out of the practice. Keep that policy firm. Make sure your staff notify you the minute they feel sick. Promote your services. Promote. So create those blogs, those videos, those Facebook posts in downtime. Get your team involved in that. And get things in order. All right, so I hope that this helped you. I hope that this gives you something to think positively. My goal for all of you is that you have success. Please feel free to reach out on Facebook or via email or my website. If you need any help, if you need any suggestions, please feel free to comment on this post or share it with somebody else. I really appreciate you all taking the time to listen, and I wish you the very, very best as you move forward in your practice.